Well, hello there, friends. Thank you for joining me on the new Mailbag Sunday. I have two videos coming out every Sunday. Now, in the mornings, I have my usual upholstery tutorial, and in the afternoons is where you're going to see my Sunday mailbag. Make sure that you stick with me every Sunday, and you'll be learning a lot. So, this week we have two really great questions. Okay, now you're going to want to pay attention to this. So, the first one comes from Baswellvmax, and he's got that age-old question about the French seam. I know, here we go again. That huge battle and controversy. But today, we are finally going to put this to rest, and I'm going to prove my point. The second comment comes from KyKrazy, where he's asking about acetone, the difference in acetone and spray adhesion promoter. Okay, when you're doing spray dye on plastic parts and vinyls and leathers. So here we go. So let's start off with Baswellvmax, where he says, "Great videos always, but I gotta say, you need to watch a video on French seams. Ugh. A double oversewn seam is nothing like a French seam, which isn't for upholstery. It doesn't use tape. I think people have been telling you porky pies," and then he's got his little laughy face. So what I say to him is, "Hello, Baz. Thank you so much for saying so. Go ahead and believe the YouTube experts if you want to. This is exactly why I call it a Texas stitch, double top stitch. But really, it has been my experience that over for the last 50 years in the auto industry, it has been called a French stitch. In other industries like furniture, they put the tape backing, where on cars they don't. For marine, they do, and they don't. Just saying." So I put a link on there about an explanation of the French seam. So after that, I wrote, "A French seam for clothing is different as well as for marine cells and so on." So check out what I did. I went to an AI chat and I asked this question. I said, "Is a French stitch or French seam used in the automotive upholstery industry from the manufacturers?" The answer I got back was yes. French seams often referred to as interchangeably with a French stitch or twin needle stitch in the trade aren't massive in the automotive industry. In fact, they are the go-to premium detail used for almost every major car manufacturer today. When you look at a modern car interior and see those clean parallel rows of stitching running along the edges of the seats, center consoles, and dashboards, you're looking at a commercial French seam. Here's the breakdown of why manufacturers rely on them and how they use them. Why manufacturers use French seams. Aesthetics and luxury. The French seam forces the seam allowance to lay flat underneath, creating a smooth, flat joint on the top side. The two visible rows of stitching frame the seam perfectly, giving it that high-end tailored look. So structural integrity. Car seats take an absolute beating from the people sliding in and out. By top stitching through both the cover material and the internal seam allowance layers underneath, the manufacturer essentially triples the strength of that bond. So reduced bulk. In tight automotive applications where covers must fit perfectly over molded foam, bunching up fabric creates lumps. Top stitching both sides down keeps the profile incredibly slim. How factory French seams work. In high-volume manufacturing, the process is highly automated, but follows the same fundamental geometric principles as classic upholstery. To join, two pieces of the material are sewn together face to face with a standard plain seam using a 3/8 or half-inch seam allowance. The butterfly. The two pieces are opened up and the seam allowances underneath are folded flat in opposite directions, like butterfly wings away from the center joint. The top stitch. In the factory, a specialized twin needle walking foot machine stitches down both sides of the seam simultaneously. This catches and the turned under seam allowance on both sides, locking everything flat. A note on the industry jargon. While a dressmaker's French seam completely encloses raw edges inside a pocket of fabric, The automotive industry uses the term to mean a structural plain seam that has been butterflied and top stitched on both sides. From factory luxury builds to custom interior restorations, it remains the industry standard for a clean, durable, and professional finish. Well, now, Wood, if you got to think about that, put that in the comments and let me know in your heart what you believe, what you've known, and what you've now learned. So I have many videos about the French seam. So really what it is, there's two sides, or maybe even three sides. There's my side, and then there's the two other sides that I'm battling with all the time. So it really depends on what your background is. If your background is clothing, you know your French seam. If your background is furniture, you know your French seam. If you're doing sales on boats, you know your French seam. If you're making jeans, you know your French seam. But if you're doing automotive for 50 years, I know my French seam. I know what I've been working on cars, thousands of seats probably, I guess, over 5 decades. I've worked on a lot of seats and I've done a lot of French seams. I've always known them as French seams. My suppliers have always listed their items and for sale as French seams. And I'm just telling you, it just goes on and on. So it's really ingrained in my head what a French seam is. But I see videos, I was curious about this the other day. I went and I saw a video where the guy said, this is absolutely not a French seam. So he pretty much did what I always do. And he's saying that it's not a French seam. Then he made his, what I would call a top stitch, where you take the two layers, or you sew it. Okay, instead of doing the butterfly effect on the bottom, you just sewed over one side and do a top stitch. That's what I've always just called a top stitch, but he was calling that a French seam. So my gosh, what are we gonna do? How do we ever get this straightened out? Jeez, please help me here. So the other argument is that my French seam is not strong. Okay, because I never put a backing behind my French seam. What I'm calling a French seam, I'm not calling a French seam, I'm calling it a Texas stitch. Okay, so anyway, my Texas stitch. Okay, I tell them that the secret to a good, successful Texas stitch is that first stitch that you're doing, that you have a nice tight stitch length, first of all. Second of all, that's most important, is you have to have your tensions properly adjusted. So you got to have a nice tight tension on your top thread as well as your bottom thread. So that way when you pull the two pieces apart, you're not seeing any daylight in between the stitches. That's when you know you got a nice strong stitch. So really, I've seen a lot of vinyl fail before the stitch does. Okay, and even in the airbags, okay, airbags are another one. Okay, seats with airbags, that's another argument for another day. Okay, so anyway, people are asking me if I'm using a special thread that will break away in the airbag stitch. So that goes to show you that that airbag has no backing, or else it would never separate, right? Okay. So no, there's nothing special about the thread. Okay, it's not super engineered. It's not, rocket science like everybody wants it to be. It's just a simple thread and a simple stitch with simple thread. Okay, and what I say in the comments is that that vinyl and that stitch are no match for an exploding airbag, right? So the airbag is coming out no matter what. Okay, the other point on that is a lot of the times the vinyl will actually fail before the stitch does. There's many times where I've had to replace busted panels and not just do a simple restitch because the stitch didn't give away first, the vinyl did. So now I have new ammunition. Okay, I'm going to keep this video and I'm going to be sending this link to the people that have arguments with me about French stitch. Maybe I could start calling it a French stitch again. Called it a French stitch for 50 years until I decided not to because of this craziness. So should I stick with the Texas stitch and be safe, or create more controversy by calling it a French stitch? Oh, well, that was a great question. I hope I gave a satisfying answer. If you find value in my upholstery tutorials, now is an easier way to contribute to my YouTube channel. Buy a coffee by scanning this QR code now. Thank you. The next question is from KyKrazy. He saw the video DIY how to spray dye paint plastic and vinyl parts. So there's also a long form video on that. So what his question is what's the advantages of using acetone, if any, over spray adhesion promoter? Okay, so I get this question a lot too. What I told him was, hello, Kai. I get asked this a lot. Basically, I was using acetone decades before there was ever an adhesion promoter. You can use the promoter if you want to, but I never would. If you decide to use it and then go over it with acetone, you are definitely wasting your time and money because the acetone is so harsh, it would wipe away anything you did with the promoter. Now the cost. A small spray can of adhesion promoter goes for between $20 and $35, as where a gallon of acetone runs about $20 and practically lasts forever. Do you get it now? Use that savings for a hamburger. So I actually have videos about this too, because I get a lot of comments where people have basically asked me the same question. Instead of adhesion promoter, they'll ask me about alcohol. Okay, and I guess it's the type of alcohol that they're talking about. It's like what you would buy in a Walgreens, right? Rubbing alcohol for your skin or your body. So they think that if you put this over vinyl, or if you put this over plastic, that somehow it's going to and promote the adhesion of the spray dye that you're going to be painting it with. Where in reality, it does absolutely nothing because it'll clean, but it won't do anything to the surface for the spray to grab onto. So that's the whole purpose of the acetone. So the acetone will rough up the surface and it'll give something for the spray dye to grab onto. Okay, so as far as adhesion promoter, I'm sure it probably has acetone in it and it probably does pretty much the same thing, but why would you even do that? Really? Why? Tell me in comments why you would rather use adhesion promoter over acetone. I really need to know what the thought process is behind that. And tell me what the advantage is of using an adhesion promoter over acetone. Maybe you can educate me. Do you use acetone or do you use adhesion promoter? You know, I've even tried lacquer thinner in the past. Lacquer thinner is pretty harsh, but not as harsh as acetone. If you like this video, you'll really like the next one.